We're live. A second. All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's April 26th, around 7:30 a.m. We're doing a quick Bloor West Village walking tour just to kind of see what's going on in the neighborhood. Before we get to it, I just want to say a quick little introduction of the neighborhood. This guy named Colonel William Smith Durie initially owned a lot of this land around the 1950s, and then basically a guy named John Scarlett developed a lot of it. And what happened was that in 1909, just throwing some numbers at everybody, in 1909, this was known as the city of West Toronto. And then during that date, the city of Toronto annexed it and then basically started developing the land a lot more. So let's go for a quick little walk. This is just Bloor West Village. Right now, we're at the corner of Bloor and South Kingsway. Right on the corner here, you'll see that this actually was a movie theater. It was a bunch of little shops and restaurants, but now it's being developed into a large condo complex, which is kind of, it's not the best thing in the world, but some people, I actually have a client that purchased something in this building recently, so it's not bad. So if you want to just come in front, just. So this is it. We're just going east on Bloor. Right there to the left, that's the old theater. Like literally right there. And it took a really long time for them to actually get permission to build on this land. Like this was honestly, it feels like a 20-year battle because nobody in the neighborhood wanted to get rid of this theater. But eventually they paid enough money and the bijou is coming soon. Nobody really knows exactly when, so go ahead, sorry. Here you have Bloor West Optometry, Bloor West Dental, Indian cuisine. You have a ton of these little restaurants, little local shops and spots around here. There's always something to do in Bloor West. If you want a nice bagel, there's a couple of bottle shops that are opening up around here as well. So if you want to go ahead, we're pulling up on Jane and Bloor. So this is kind of the start of true Bloor West. It technically goes from Jane and Bloor to Glendonwin and Bloor.
Jane and Bloor. I'm Owen Callery, everybody. Nice to meet everyone. That's the first of a few subway stops we're going to see here in Jane and Bloor. Main thing about this area is just the convenience. You've got everything you need right here. I've lived here 5 years. I know all the best little spots. Just down there is where I pick up my sports cars. Shout out to Red Nails too. Great little hobby shop. Great prices for what it is now. The market that is. So as we're walking, we're going to find just tons of stores. You've got lots of shop local availability here, as well as your subways and that sort of thing, but tons of independent stores. You'll find a lot of professional buildings as well, where you find your doctors, everything you need in there, dentists. So it's a professional area as well as great area for boutique shopping. And of course, the restaurants. We're going to pass by a bunch of my favorites, and I hope that I'm on the mic so I can talk about them. You'll also notice that this area has a nice Eastern European influence. We've got Ukrainian festival here. You'll see a lot of buildings with different languages on them. I think that's Ukrainian. And yeah. We're pulling up on Bloor and Armadale. Armadale's a great street. The further you go down or north towards Annette, you'll find that it's more of like a tree-lined street. also has the accessibility of being very close to Bloor Street. We're doing this nice and early in the morning. Bloor Street is usually a little bit busier than this, as you might know. Oh, the Dark Horse. This is a great local pub. They actually have great food too. Later on today, around the corner, it's going to be lined up for people waiting for their lunch from this place. It's great, great food here. Shout out to Dark Horse for all the great memories. My partying days are behind me. Another good thing about Bloor West Village is you get all the lights as you come up to them all the time. Look at that. Boom. Walking.
Like for example, when I came to this is the first bank that my family and I actually went to. So it's the Christian Bank of Bloor West Village. As Owen mentioned, a lot of this neighborhood has a lot of European influence. So a lot of Ukrainians came here in the early 1900s or mid 1900s, and in 1960 there was a second wave of a lot of Eastern European immigrants. So that's the bank right there.
What's going on, everybody? Adam Mackenzie here from the Remax Sidorova Inwood team. We're taking you guys through a little walkthrough of what we consider our hood. We are the #1 team here in the Bloor West area. So we're going to show you a little treat today, why we love this area so much, and why we think this is one of the best places to live in this city. So as they're mentioning, this street is usually lined with people. We try to get out here early in the morning to give you guys that nice early vibe where the streets are clear. Of course, you got a ton of dogs in this neighborhood. You got the pet value. You got Dogtopia just down the street to take your dogs. You got it. You got it all here. There's hundreds of local restaurants, shops, bars on this street. Oh, there is the sun. Thank the Lord for the sun. We needed a little warmth today. We got like 1 degree right now. For those who are watching, that is pretty cold. So a ton of these shops are locally owned, independent. So we wanted to showcase them today because we're dealing with COVID right now. A lot of small businesses are having a tough time. We want to highlight them right now because no better time than to support our local businesses. Keep them going. Hopefully you won't be needing the funeral parlor anytime soon. You got all your services on this street. You got your family dentist right here on the corner. You got your banks, your doctors, your bookstores, everything you need.
Come on. Across the road? No, let's stay on the side. Okay, we are at Windermere and Bloor. So this is a through street you can get to all the highways, Lakeshore, Gardner, down that way. So this actually turns into Swansea as opposed to north of Bloor, which is Bloor West Village. Now, as we continue walking here, a lot of these commercial buildings and all of this space was built between like the 1920s and 1940s and basically started being developed into this commercial residential mix. Also, a lot of the homes in this neighborhood were built around that time. So you have a lot of 100-year-old homes, but this is known as the #1 neighborhood in Toronto because of the fact that it's got some incredible places to eat. You have lots of stuff to do. You have really cool things to see. But what I will say is that a lot of these houses that are 100-year-old homes are getting converted and getting gutted and are turning into really, really nice properties. So you're looking at, for anything detached in this neighborhood, you're looking at close to $2 million at this point, because of the neighborhood, because people actually love being here. As Adam Mackenzie, buyer specialist, was just saying, we are out here really early in the morning, so it's like not even 8 o'clock yet. Otherwise, these streets will be super, super busy. And you have all of these spots. Like, you have these little clothing stores. Like, take a look at these, for example. Bloom restaurants. If you're having some foot issues, you go to Foot Sensation, get some custom orthotics. Shout out to Foot Sensations. If you look across the street, you have Gato, the wood oven pizza spot. That's actually a really, really good pizza spot. You continue, you need some supplements. You have the supplement store. What I wanted to say was, the first thing I wanted to say was, the reason this area started developing as much as it did was because they actually, the Business Improvement Association was the first of its kind here in Bloor West Village. It was the BIA. It was the first ever BIA in the world, And it's because they wanted to put an influx of money and kind of just bring more people to the neighborhood here, so the neighborhood would expand and grow. So basically, the first ever BIA was right here in Bloor West Village, which is something that most people don't know. Right here, we're actually passing Durie. I don't know if you remember me saying, but William Smith Durie was the first person to own a lot of land in this neighborhood in the 1850s, and this is actually his street. This is the street that was named after him, and it runs all the way up past Dundas. So let's continue walking. You have the coffee boutique. You have Bloor Meat Market. And then what I wanted to say was that this place has a very good mix of, chain stores like Bulk Barn, for example, and those local spots, like exactly like I just mentioned, the Bloor Meat Market. If you want to turn it around over here, Big Wayne, established in 1929. 1929. Most neighborhoods in the city, it'll be tough to find something that's established in the early 1900s. So let's continue walking. Yeah, honestly, I just love the. Oh, you cannot forget about the wine shop. It's literally called the wine shop. Bottle of wine a day keeps the doctor away. Do you want to take over? Here, come, just continue going. Do some research. I got next.
Yeah. So another reason why this neighborhood is so great to live in is because you got best of both worlds. You're close to the city streets, but also you feel like you're in your own little community here, your own suburbs, and you are literally 15 minutes to the Gardner Expressway, which is going to get you access to all across the city. You got the biggest, best park in the city, bar none. We got High Park, which is another probably 5-10 minute walk down the road. It's been rated with Bog TO as the best dog park in the city for good reason. It's a beautiful area to take your dogs, and it's a giant off-leash dog park. So I'm usually there every weekend with my two little guys running around. For the bikers out there, you're going to love that Bloor Strip has bike lanes. Oh, Baca, just the best gallery cafe in the city. Just waiting for them to open.
But as I was saying, you feel like you're in the center of the universe here. You got 15, 20 minutes to the 400 for the cottagers out there going up north, which is amazing. And then you got 15, 20 minutes to the Pearson Airport as well. I mean, I love fried chicken, so Church's chicken is awesome, but I'd still say it does not beat my favorite Popeyes. So as we continue on, we'll see one of the best restaurants in the world.
Bread and Roses, amazing local little bakery. You can get everything from whatever bread to pastries to nice sandwiches. They have amazing, amazing food at Bread and Roses. Turn off to make sure to stop by the Village Durie as well.
So take a look here. As I was saying, all the streets are lined with bike trails. So Bloor Street is a great place to take your bikes. You can take it all the way to the Humber River Trails, which are beautiful, scenic trails. So follow me.
You can keep it in. Don't hear me. Okay. I just wanted to mention, so this right here used to be a movie theater. So yeah, stay there. So Runnymede Theater, 1927. This was a theater for a really long time until 1999, which was then it was adapted into retail use. But it's funny because like this is another little theater. We kind of mentioned earlier the theater on Jane and Bloor over there, so that got converted into condos. This right here was another really well-established, loved community theater that eventually became a retail space. So I just needed to throw it out there. Runnymede Theater right here on the corner of Runnymede and Bloor.
All right, guys. So,
Shout out to the #1 team.
wow. #1 team right here.
Go ahead.
Soon our faces will be there.
Oh,
Okay, so I'd say one of the best restaurants in the whole world. Take a look around. Best fried chicken you're ever going to find. This is actually the first Popeyes ever built. I'm just kidding. It's not.
As we move on, it's so good that they closed the Yeah.
shout out to bike paths. True, incredible bike paths. I think Adam mentioned that earlier as well. But the bike paths around here, they go all the way down the street. So it's great for bikers.
So as we keep moving, I'm gonna take over. Shout out to Cobb's Bread. We're gonna come up on the first street I lived on when I first moved to Toronto. Shout out to Kennedy Avenue.
What about the
Great memories. The patio upstairs cannot be beat in the summer. It's open all night till 2 a.m. and it gets crazy. Yeah. Fox and John's used to be the Kennedy. Now it's Fox and John's. Still pretty good.
video in front of the Swan?
The #1 team here, just in front of the Swan.
Top establishment first. Oh man, this place. A lot of great nights here at the Swan. Honestly,
Can't wait.
Speaking about Cobb's Bread, right beside it is the Gin Mill. It used to be called the Yellow Griffin, which was my favorite bar in the entire city for about 3 years. Great place. They had like 40 different kinds of burgers. You could get a camel burger there. They had like 40 different burgers there. You could get a camel burger. Like literally, you could get a camel burger. It was like 25 bucks. I never did end up getting it, but I was so curious every time I went in there. What would camel taste like? So here's Kennedy Avenue, an amazing street. We just sold a home down there. I think we got 2.15. It's a crazy good neighborhood. Any detached home on Kennedy is going to be a pricey endeavor. As we head down that way, shout out to 323 Kennedy, where I first lived when I moved to Toronto. A great street, great neighborhood. We already, there's two entrances to Runnymede Station. There's one on Kennedy and there's one on Runnymede. We already passed it, so that's the second station we're passing here. Again, we're on Bloor Street, so you're on the subway line. You can get anywhere you want in the city real quick. So this is the Bloor West LCBO. Now, I currently live in Hyde Park. It's not even the closest LCBO for me, but I go there because they've got an amazing selection with beers and wine at that particular LCBO. Can't forget about No Frills. It's so good you're lined up early in the morning for it. Just past the lineup of people going to get into No Frills. Here we've got a great example of the small local businesses we have here. This cigar shop in the summer and springtime is bumping usually. Obviously, right now we're in COVID. They set up picnic tables and stuff. They've got little tastings. It's fantastic. You've got like a travel service, things you don't see everywhere in Toronto. Oh, yeah.
I mentioned something. So,
of course.
once again, we're almost at the end of technical initial Bloor West Village. And what I wanted to say was the area, the business improvement area. Once again, like, I have to shout out the Bloor West Village BIA business improvement area because of the fact that it was the first one ever in the world, and they are responsible for this whole neighborhood from being a desolate place, like lots of rundown places, lots of like 3 gas stations in a row back in the 1950s, 1960s, and then the BIA turned this into what it is today. So, once again, I needed to shout them out. Really huge. Amazing. Follow them on Instagram.
Shout out to BIA for sponsoring this video. You're following me down this way? This is Glen Donwin, another great street. We've got a fantastic library here just to the left. Now, they've got so many programs for children. And of course, you can get books for free. I don't know if you knew that about a library. You don't have to pay anything. All the knowledge is there. Yeah, that's so true. So we've got Tim Hortons Dollarama as we come down this way. We're going to start seeing more and more condos and apartment buildings up here. Yuki Fest, I loved, but they shut down the entire Bloor Street area, so it's a pain to get around if you're in a car. But they'll shut it down for an entire weekend, and you can't get anywhere on Bloor Street because the streets are lined with people. It is a party. It's like a carnival. They've got rides in the middle of the street. It's amazing. They've got games, all the carnival games they do. It's all free, by the way. It's run by the local Ukrainian community, and essentially what it is the street party for 3 straight days. Definitely recommended. He does. Santa comes to town for sure. There is a Christmas festival every year in Bloor West. Santa comes to town. He's got his sleigh. He'll ride through, and he'll meet your kids. He'll do that for you. Again, don't forget that they've got the bike path here. Now, Bloor West has actually changed recently. Now, it used to be there was 2 lanes here, and then they brought in these bike paths and a kind of a weird parking area on the right now. So it is a little bit tougher to get around in a car on Bloor West these days, and to find parking. That's another thing. But still, walkability of Bloor West is unbeatable, and you're on the subway line, so you shouldn't be driving anyways.
All right, speaking of subway lines, what a lot of people don't know that initially the Bloor the subway station in Toronto was initially supposed to be built under Queen Street. So it was supposed to run underneath Queen Street. But basically, because Bloor was so much more busy at that time, Bloor was actually known as Highway 5 up until, I can't remember the exact date, but it was known as Highway 5. And then basically they were deciding between Queen West or Queen Street just in general to run the entire subway across and Bloor Street. And there was significantly more traffic on Bloor, so they decided to obviously keep this as the subway line. And that's actually goes back into the history of why the BIA started. Because initially, sorry, just a little bit more history. Initially, there was a railroad transit system, sorry, like a rail system that went above ground on Bloor Street. And what happened was, once the subway was built underneath Bloor, all of these shops didn't get as much walking traffic. Basically, that's why the BIA was created, in order to bring more traffic into the neighborhood. But honestly, once again, one of my favorite neighborhoods in the city. Let's continue walking. Right here, you have these new builds. So these are pretty much everything here is built within the last 10, 15 years. So you have this condo, then you have 1990 Bloor Street, which was built, I think, 2015, 2016, as far as I can recall. Another one down the street, 1830 Bloor. But just really nice. This is prime for development right here. So this will be a building. I think it's a mixed use townhouse, condo, residential building.
You don't find much vacant land in Toronto.
Not much
When
vacant
you find
land.
it, you got to scoop it up.
Pretty sure my first bike ever was bought right here on Wheels of Bloor.
Turns out like a biker now. It's crazy. I was gonna say BMXer, but
The price he's right. The prices of bikes through the roof because everyone wants something to do during this pandemic, so they want to get out and bike. Let's keep walking. Let's keep walking here, boys. So 7 Points Cannabis. I want to honestly, like, it's pretty crazy to think about how many cannabis and weed shops are popping up throughout the city. Like it's insane. If you continue down Bloor, you'll see cannabis shops popping up left, right, and center. I heard it's a pretty great investment actually, but there's one right here. This is absolutely prime location, so clearly they're doing something right. You got the world's first Pizza Hut right here. That's the first. I'm just kidding. That's a joke. I don't know where the first Pizza Hut was in the world. If you were to guess where the first Pizza Hut in the world would be, what would you say? What would you say it was?
Chicago.
Rome, Rome, Italy. Oh, that's gold. You have the running room.
The running room is great because they have clubs that organize. Run at 5 a.m. Next level, but I'm more of a workout on my own kind of guy. But for those who know the group, running room is great.
So for anybody that grew up around here, and any one of my friends knows what that is right there. So that used to be System Fitness, which everybody from this neighborhood ended up going to at one point or another. I think they changed their name. I'm pretty sure it's the same ownership, but now it's called Conquer Fitness. But System Fitness was right there. It's in a basement. Sorry? The F45, you know what? The F45 gets a shout out, but there's nothing like System Fitness because even when we were in high school, grade 10, grade 11, we used to go to System Fitness. It used to be this dingy place in a basement, and you just had these just a massive amount of weights, and it was just a really good spot for everyone to go and just try to get in, try to get that work in, try to get that work in, you know? Bloor West Village Animal Hospital too. This is a very, very nice building here. The turnover in this building is really low. So if you purchase just in general, if you purchase anything on this strip or anywhere in Bloor West or High Park, Rossi, Swansea, the Junction, it's appreciating 5 to 7% per year for the most part. If you get something detached, it could go even higher. But this building, very exclusive building. Go ahead. All right, we can walk for a little bit here.
Yeah, let's go. Huh? Yeah, I'm going.
Here.
Yeah. So another reason why I love Bloor West is because the neighbors are amazing. So you got Swansea, you border the Junction, you border Hyde Park, which we're getting up to right now. So you've got also 3 other great neighborhoods that border this area. As you can see down there, we get to start looking at the biggest, baddest park in the city, Hyde Park. We're getting into the back end. Unfortunately, they blocked off the cherry blossoms this year. That's usually one of my favorite things to do. Now, I hate busy crowds, to be honest. So, I usually try and go early in the morning when nobody's out and get there. Usually on the weekends, I'm heading there with my dogs. As you can see, there's a lot of people already heading to the Hyde Park area. So why don't we head over there? All right, guys, so we're coming up on probably one of the best bar names by far. We got Mackenzie's up here. And for those of you who didn't hear me, I'm Adam Mackenzie, so of course I'm going to choose this bar. I do not own this bar or have any affiliation.
Mackenzie's pub. They got a great value. 1968 Street, which are two. They don't go up to often. The last one sold around area. Across the street from my park. They've got amazing rooftop patios up there, and you've got great views of the park. So you'll see in Bloor West, you'll see there's a ton of places like Gardens Food, which is like a hybrid grocery store, flower shop, cards, like greeting card stores. There's tons of them in Bloor West Village. Like there's got to be at least 10 I can think of. Yeah, 1968 Bloor Street right here. Yeah, the last one that I saw up there was around 1.4515. High Park Deli Express, unfortunately, didn't quite make it through COVID, but I do remember that place and it was great.
Bring them back. Let's get a petition going. Let's get them back. COVID's taken too many lives, too many businesses.
So we're coming up to Quebec Street here, which has got a ton of apartment buildings all down Quebec. You're going to see signs for the Grenadier Family Restaurant. That's a restaurant actually in Hyde Park itself. Very cool. If you haven't checked it out, I definitely recommend it. There's the buildings I was just talking about. Beautiful new builds there. So on the left, you're going to see some multi-purpose homes. So they've got older homes. They've got you got duplexes there, as well as some converted into businesses. Don't forget about the chess house. That's where all the chess is played in Toronto, right there. Yeah, that's right. So we're gonna come into one of the entrances where typically cars would go in to Hyde Park. Unfortunately, you're gonna see that it's gonna be barricaded, as well as there might be a police officer making sure you're not going into Hyde Park in a car. Shout out to the police force. Way to do your job. Speak of the devil, look, there is a police officer making sure no cars are going into Hyde Park because, well, it's COVID and you can't look at the cherry blossoms or anything. We are coming up into the Hyde Park neighborhood. We're going to see condo buildings on Bloor Street itself. It's going to have one with a Rabba on the bottom, which is very convenient. We're seeing that more and more. where we've got retail space on the bottom of condo buildings. That I think is a great idea, very convenient. This policeman, yeah, just having a good look at High Park. I don't blame him. Of course. Gotta talk about the biggest, baddest city in
Can you hear me now? Law. No, she just said this.
Did I?
Can you hear it right now?
Can you hear it?
All right, well, let's talk about High Park for a second. So, High Park is the biggest public park in Toronto, close to 400 acres of green space. You can do everything you want in High Park in terms of activity. Biking trails, walking trails, running trails. As Owen said, there's the Predator Cafe, amazing little cafe that's inside the park. You always have these ice cream stands, you always have hot dog, burger vendors that are over there. You have the High Park Zoo, super underrated, next to the zoo in the neighborhood. You got Michael in there, the director of Regular Company, walking up on this road now. Also, I just want to mention that if you ever want to see the cherry blossom, this is the place to go. Unfortunately, we can't see it right now. As you can see, if you want to point it this way for a second, no access to cherry blossoms. So that's what it is. But once again, High Park, one of the most beautiful places in the whole city.
We need some better audio. The fans are saying.
Here's Kobe. Kobe the dog, shout out.
Come here, Copes. Come here.
Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Hey, buddy.
We're just doing a little walk from Jane to Keele.
We're
We're almost done.
okay, guys.
All right, we'll see you guys soon.
Yeah. Wait. So apparently our AirPods got disconnected. So my apologies for the lack of audio. I know people wanted to listen to us talk about the neighborhood because that's what you're all here for. That's what you're here for. You have anything to say? Young Adam, buyer specialist.
We love you guys.
Well, we're not done yet because we're pulling up on one of my favorite buildings in the whole neighborhood. It's 1830 Bloor Street. This was recently built. This was, I'm pretty sure, same thing, 2015, 2016 built. You have the Robas, as Owen was saying, right downstairs. You have an amazing gym with a squat rack, a bench press, whatever you want. You have an amazing terrace on the top floor over here. This is a really exclusive, expensive building. If you're interested in looking in these neighborhoods, give us a call, send us a message. We are the #1 team around here. Damn. Apparently people can't hear us.
Uh-oh, maybe we should cut it? How far are we going?
Let's just finish the walk to Keele.
We're almost at Kill. West Pacific, another street with tons of apartment buildings. No one can hear me, but I'm just talking anyways. West Pacific.
We'll up our audio game for next time, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely do this again. I know you can't hear me right now. Pizza and pasta, Vivo. Open for takeout and delivery.
That's the park right there. So that's another entrance into High Park. You know, I've mentioned before in a bunch of previous videos, this is the park where my friends and I grew up hanging out in the park. A lot of the time, you know.
What'd you guys do in the park?
Oh, you know what we did. We had a couple beers.
Some hooligans.
Some hooligan stuff, some hooligan nonsense was happening in the park. But we're almost at the end of our walk here, guys. We're just going to Keele. Anybody else have something to say?
Really, I live right at Keele and Bloor, essentially. This is my favorite part of the neighborhood. We're going to stop right before we get to a whole bunch of really good bars. There's Bug Shots, there's Whelan's Gate, which also has great food. So High Park doesn't end here. We might do another walk of High Park, that area itself, but Bloor West Village is kind of the focus of the day. We're going to come on our third subway stop. Is going to be Keele Station coming up here on the left.
You have something to say at all?
All I gotta say is thank you for joining us here. I think you guys can see on Bloor West is the best place to live in the entire world. Great community, family friendly here. There's a ton of dogs. I don't know if you guys are dog people, but this is a great place to have dogs. And then you're close enough to the city as well. For those of you who said, oh, I would move out, I go to Barrie, I go somewhere like that, I go up north. Yeah, right. I'm staying in the city where the people are, the vibe is good here. As soon as things are open back up, I know it's going to be fire in the city again. And I need it.
Hold this. All right. We're pulling up to the end of our tour here. Honestly, this was our first time ever attempting this. It was a little walking tour. We just wanted to do it to see if people would tune in. It's a great way to get some exercise because, you know, that COVID weight is adding on. So we're going to be trying to do more of these coming up in the next few weeks, in the next months. Because honestly, like, this is just really fun to do, to show you some neighborhoods, to show you where we grew up and just how everything is around here. Because as Adam and Owen and I mentioned, this is our favorite part of the city. We absolutely love it. And next time I'll give a little more notice for these open house or these open houses. Next time I'll give a little more notice for these live.
He's always selling.
We're always selling. Yeah, this is Keele and Bloor. That's another entrance to High Park. So this way, and then we can end the video here. Point to Owen real quick for a second. Show the man, the myth, the legend.
Woo! Show us the back way.
By the way, they need to fix that.
We're just waiting for that P to come.
That's ridiculous. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and tune in to our next one. I'll make sure to get some more notice. Thank you so much.